everyone. Today, we are going to read a beautiful poem entitled Gazing at the Sacred Peak by the Chinese poet Du Fu. But before we start, let us first have a short background about the author. At a time way back around the first century, before many nations' histories had been established, poetry was upheld as a fine art in China. One of the most influential poets of the first century was Du Fu, wherein he was considered basically the equivalent of William Shakespeare in their country. Du Fu made many of his poems while in a drunk state, reflecting on his thoughts and nature. And Gazing at the Sacred Peak was one of these poems. Now that we already know Du Fu's story, are you ready to listen to his poem? Let's go. Gazing at the Sacred Peak by Du Fu. Preparing to climb Mountain Tai, all around me, over Qi and Lu, green and ending. Good fortune, the god of time, bestows. Dark and light, arriving dusk and dawn. Exhilarating the press, it produces layers of clouds. Splitting eye, I catch the sight of homing words entering. May I someday climb up to its highest peak. With one sweeping view, see how small all other mountains are. And there you have it, Gazing at the Sacred Peak by Du Fu. Amazing work, right? As we take an analysis of the poem, we can observe that Du Fu speaks about one of the five sacred mountains in Chinese culture, and that is Mountain Tai. Nowadays, you can still witness this mountain located in the Shandong province, China. It is the tallest and most important of the five mountains. That is why it holds a special cultural meaning to the Chinese people. The poem Gazing at the Sacred Peak describes the awe-inspiring beauty of a mountain and the profound effect it has on the speaker. From its first line, we can see that the mountain is not just a physical entity, but also a spiritual force that inspires reverence. The second line describes the lush landscape surrounding the mountain, suggesting that it is a source of life and fertility. The third line refers to the idea of creation, suggesting that the mountain is not just a natural feature, but also has a divine origin. Meanwhile, the fourth line uses the concept of yin and yang, suggesting that the mountain embodies both complementary and opposing factors. This line also references the cycle of day and night, suggesting that the mountain is a timeless and enduring presence. The fifth and sixth lines describe the beauty of the mountain and the way it affects the speaker. The swelling clouds and returning birds suggest the dynamic and ever changing nature of the mountain, while the speaker's eyes are ruined by the overwhelming beauty of the sight. And the last but not the least, the final two lines suggest that the mountain is so vast and majestic that it can only be fully appreciated from the summit. The fact that the other mountains will be small enough to hold suggests that the mountain is not just a physical object, but also a metaphor for something much larger and more profound. The poem has a theme about beauty and nature with an alternate rhyme scheme on its original version. It has two stanzas with quatrains length or equivalent to four lines each stanzas. Overall, the poem portrays the mountain as a source of inspiration, beauty, and spiritual significance, emphasizing its role in connecting humans to the natural and divine world. As we listen to it, we could feel that the language used conveys a wistful tone that strikes a chord with us and makes us nostalgic for things that haven't come to pass. Dufo seeks to be able to climb to the peak of that mountain in a symbolic way. The mountain represents all the hardships we must overcome to be able to reach the very top. And that's it. the Chinese poem Gazing at the Sacred Peak by Du Fu. I hope you enjoyed this poem. Thank you.